Hello, dear intuitive art friends. Welcome. I'm Rachel Archulais, so this is Carrie Roldan.
Hello.
So glad to have you here. I kind of heard this telepathic call for some small business chat, and so we're going to provide that today. I'm excited that so many of you were wanting this, and because honestly, I feel like I'm going back to my roots. Like this is kind of where I started on online business. And Carrie, this is predominantly what you do. You help me with my business. You help all of our graduates with their business. So we definitely have some, wisdom we can share with you. And if you have specific questions, you can put them in the live stream chat on YouTube. I can see that. And if you are on Facebook, right under the post that I made saying join Carrie and I for a live stream, I'll be able to monitor that too. So feel free to ask questions about your specific business, and we're going to get into it. I have notes today, so we're feeling prepared. So, Carrie, I guess why don't you start off with telling us how did you get here? I would love to know, like, how did you become the business BFF?
So funny. Somebody else just asked me that recently. They read something, maybe it was on my Facebook page or something, and they said, "Oh, I had labeled myself there something that I forgot. Like it was something I was trying on and I put it there and then forgot that it was there and the reason I don't use it is because I can't say it, but it is a sixth sense strategist. It was too hard for me to say. But here's how I became the business BFF. Um, I finished up teaching and coaching cross country and track around the time that I was having my third child. And I knew I wanted to do something. I wanted to continue doing my work in the world, which had previously been with high school students. And I thought I wanted to be a life coach. And so I took somebody's workshop, someone who was a life coach. I thought before I decide I want to do this, I should really experience it. And so I went through some life coaching and found it super valuable. And also like, oh, I'm doing that already with the high school kids that I was working with. So I got certified as a life coach. And I remember like thinking like, oh, this will be so great. I'll be able to charge like $35 an hour. And I was thinking that was like going to be so much money. And then it totally hit me. One, if I have three kids, at the time they were little kids, one of them was a nursing baby. How am I going to do that? Like, where am I going to, how's it going to work? And this was back in the time when people were, you saw your life coach on the phone. Usually there wasn't even video chat. So, I just started looking. I thought, okay, how can I build some sort of a business online? And I think I was looking at network marketing, but I was more interested in like coaching, somehow figuring out how to get clients and customers online, still thinking that I would coach people by phone. And became part of a group. That's actually where I met you, Rachel. It was the sales pitch to get you into the group was like, get other people to refer you. It was like, even if you're just starting out, was the marketing. And I'm like, I want people to refer me and I'm just starting out. And what that community was about, it was about teaching you how to build a business online, basically understanding that nobody's going to refer you. It was about learning how to create up an affiliate system and get paid affiliate commissions to promote other people. But it was about having a product, like an online product, basically. And so I started down that path. But what I found is in that group, I was really valuable to the other people. I was there to learn, I was there to participate, but I became this resource for everybody else, particularly around getting to the essence of what they do and refining their marketing language um, and people, were like blown away they'd send me their web page and I'd be like, oh, well, let me look at it. And by then I was making videos and saying, well, what if you change this? And this doesn't make sense to me. And and I started forging relationships with these people. And I was doing a lot of this for free at the time, thinking, well, I'm just being a good person. I'm just being a friend. And it was like so long of that. Meanwhile, trying to figure out what is my thing, like what I was
Yeah.
trying to be the running coach, the run yourself happy lady. And I was like, okay, what do I help people with? I was having such a, and because it was about niching down super duper specifically, and I didn't have enough experience with myself as a business owner yet to get clear. And so what wound up happening is after like a year or two of helping so many people for free and enough people saying this was more valuable to me than the $5,000 coaching package I just signed up for, that like the 20 minutes we just spent together, Carrie, was way more helpful than I finally got it. Like, oh, okay, my gift, my genius is actually just to listen and tune in and give advice, give feedback. Like it was that simple. Like I just need to start recognizing that what I'm doing as a actually helps people a lot in their business. And I definitely have made a ton of mistakes, and people still tell me business BFF is not what I should call myself because it's not specific enough. But it tends to hit the right person in the right place where they recognize, okay, I've paid so many marketing coaches, so many, like I actually now just need really good advice from someone who cares. I need feedback. I need someone who gets me, gets my business, and can give me feedback. And that's what I do. So that's, people say, what does a business BFF do? I'm like, well, whatever your best friend would do. She's going to be honest when she has to be. She's going to tell you you look fat in those jeans, or maybe pick another photo. Um, but also, right, your business BFF holds you up, reminds you why you're doing this. Um, yeah. So, anyways, that's how I got started, and that's why I call myself the business BFF. And it's been a ride.
It's funny. I didn't plan on asking you that. It just kind of came out of my mouth, and I even thought, well, this really isn't an interview. But I'm so glad I did, obviously, because the first thing I have on my page here is really like small business is a personal worthiness journey. It's all about finding out that you are enough. Whatever comes naturally to you, whatever is easy for you, whatever is fun for you to do, that's what you, I don't want to say that's what you're here to do, but that's what you can do in your business that will bring you the most satisfaction, usually. You know, so many of us, I included, we have these natural gifts and talents, and then we go on this multi-year journey of trying to round ourselves out or like do the current popular thing, whatever it is, learning anything. And then, most of the time that's a whole big struggle. It's a lot of money invested. And then at the tail end, we kind of come around to ourselves and like, oh yeah, this is what I always did. And it's not a bad thing, right? There's lessons learned, there's confidence to be gained, but I think we can shorten that time span by really focusing on the fact that we are enough as we are. We don't have to prove anything to anyone. We don't have to be something that we're not. We don't have to mold ourselves into a business person. Uh, we don't have to do anything we don't want to do. I should be wearing my other sweatshirt right now that says do only what you love, because that is, let's just talk about Carrie's example for a second. When you're just being your natural, authentic self, you don't have any walls up. So people can find you and they can engage with you. And that, I think, is the biggest, I would say, hurdle of a small business person is sometimes we we say, okay, I'm in business now, and we put up all these structures and we call ourselves something specific and we worry about what we're charging, and we get into such a tizzy of anxiety and wonder because we don't know everything, that all of a sudden now we have this whole cage of resistance around us because we're not sure anymore. And that not sure doesn't inspire confidence in our potential customers. But if we can stay in that natural place, oh yeah, I can do that for you, sure. And then they'll say, well, what do you charge? And they'll say, oh, this. And there you go. Like, if we can keep it simple, keep it easy, keep it natural, keep it authentic, there's a lot of power and magnetism there that a lot of times gets lost when people start to monetize what they do.
Yeah. So it was interesting in preparing for this interview, or this, it's not an interview, this conversation. I was thinking about, well, what do I want to say? Like, what do I want to add to the conversation? And I was asked on a panel discussion a while ago, like I was part of a success panel, and I was asked, like, what would you tell yourself if you were just starting out, or something like that? And I was thinking, oh my God, trust yourself. And I see this happen over and over and over and over again with the people that I work with, a lot of whom are starting something new or a new iteration of what they're doing. And the number one thing is they want to get it right. They want to, like, I want to do it the right way. And I'm like, just do it your way. Like, what feels right to you? And I think that was me, and that is so many of us, is like, well, how is it done? How do people do this? How do successful people do this? And the answer is, how do you want to do it? Like, I wish, because I just wish if I had, it's interesting because there's so many great coaches out there. And there's also a lot of coaches who say, do it my way, it works.
Mm-hmm.
And you and I both have experience with trusting people who were like paying people a lot of money to say, do it my way, it works, only to realize it worked for them,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't right for us. And so I love what you said about it being a personal worthiness journey, right? For me and for you too, Rachel, right? We had to like invest a lot and do some things. Maybe we didn't have to, right? Hopefully we're helping people not have to do that. But we went through doing things that we felt awkward or full of resistance, but we were committed to like following the formula, but the whole time feeling not right in the formula, only to get to the end of the formula and realize this is not working. I might as well do what felt good. And then it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, same. I've had coaches who I've paid, tell me like, "Oh, forget about intuitive art," like, "Hello." I think it's all right. But, just that's the thing that you learn. You have to trust yourself. Be your own biggest cheerleader. Believe in yourself first. No one else has to believe in you for this to work. I think that's something we need to remember, that your spouse doesn't have to be on board. You don't have to talk about what you do with people that aren't in your corner. This is a personal journey. You have all the resources and knowledge and everything to get yourself to where you want to go. And that's probably going to include education, right? Because you don't know what you don't know. But hopefully that education will be in alignment with your path of least resistance. And you'll be able to feel whether that's right for you or not, right? Like Carrie's saying, we've all done things like we're like, I don't really know if this is for me. And I can answer for myself here. When I felt that, it wasn't for me. All right, it doesn't mean that it was wrong. It just means that wasn't the easiest way to go about it. And in the long run, it wasn't necessarily moving me forward. It was moving me to the side, right? So I wasn't like losing anything. This is not as serious a thing as it seems. Even though we're talking about money and, making a living, possibly paying your mortgage and your food, the lighter you can be about this, the less resistance you're going to create, the easier time you're going to have. So just try to be that little stick floating on the little stream. Go with the flow instead of every morning, every week, putting all of your might into stopping it, right? Go with the flow. Let's see, I think Intimate Alien's coming in a little bit here. If you only knew that everything was already done, your business has already been created. The success you want has already been created. All you need to do is float down that stream of joy and inspiration and creativity of why you want to do this in the first place. What spark is in you that says, oh, I really want to help people at this, or I really want to spend my time doing this? If you can keep that spark alive, think about it. Okay, now you were a raft on the stream. There's a little fire on top of your raft. Your only job is to keep that fire alive as you go down that stream. You will be delivered to all the things that you're wanting. But that's what has to stay, because that spark and that fire is going to keep you in your inspiration, in your receiving mode, and you're going to get all the right things at all the right times. You'll be inspired to the right classes or teacher or coach. You'll be inspired to rendezvous with, those clients who are dying to work with you because you're so alive. So, yeah, basically.
Well, I have something that I want to make sure, because I can keep talking. So I want to make sure if you've got notes that
No,
I
okay,
know
we
you
got
don't
plenty
care.
of time.
Okay. I want to say something about the spark, because what happens to a lot of us is we feel the spark and we get excited and ignited, and we start down a path of least resistance where we're like, ooh, I want to research this, or I want to, right? Like, you get a little bit of like, okay, the spark has inspired you down a path. So we start walking down that path. But at least what often happens for me is, at some point on the path, I lose sight of the spark. I leave here and I go here, and I'm like, okay, well, what's the smartest move? What's the best strategy? And then I get into have to. And you said we were talking about money, but we hadn't talked about money yet. We were talking about business, but sort of money in the abstract. And for me, when I lose the spark is when I start focusing on a dollar amount in a specific amount of time, or like get tangled up in how much to charge, or like I get up here and then I'm like, okay, well, how do I make money at that, or how do I scale that, or like I try and get too far ahead of the spark, basically. Like, and I've rushed past. I've tried to like use my brain to muscle past where my spark is leading me. And that has always led to frustration and disappointment and some money earned the really, really hard way.
Yeah.
And when I just remember to, okay, where's my spark? What feels good? What do I want to do? I think it's the hardest when, like you were talking about, when your mortgage, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
feeding yourself is dependent on you figuring this out. And your brain can't see that your spark is leading you in the right direction, right? Your brain wants like reassurances or something. Um, Anyways, I just wanted to say that for me, it took, um, here's what happened for me that really made a difference. I realized I was working really, really, really hard trying to get it right. And I was feeling depleted, and I was making myself available in times that I felt like, well, I have to take this client at a time that's convenient for them. Or I remember I was taking so many connection calls, and I would get like a request for this and I would feel depleted even in the request. And then I would be like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to connect with people. And so I would like bend my own rules, um, I would bust through my own boundaries in order to do what I thought I had to do to build my business. And one day I looked at my life and was like, I'm barely making any money doing this. And I'm breaking all of my own rules. And I think for me, the shift was in recognizing how am I going to get the life I want if I'm not living it now? Like,
Mm-hmm.
how am I going to get to where I'm only working, 3 hours a week or whatever you envision, right? How am I going to get there if right now I'm working out of desperation for like barely any money? Like, I need to stand in my truth and my power and really listen to my body, right? I was not getting a spark about a lot of the things that I was saying yes to. I was saying yes because I thought I needed to for the money. And it was scary, but I was like, I'm not hardly making any money anyways. Like, what's the point, right? So one day I put some firm boundaries and said, my workday doesn't start until, and it meant I get my run in, and it meant doing the things that were important to me, the things that I had envisioned in my dream life. And it stops when, right? At the time I have little kids and they were in preschool, and it's like I only want to be working when between this hour and this hour. And when it started, I think it was like an hour and a half a day. And that was all I had. And so when people were reaching out for connection calls and suddenly I was saying, I'm only available between this time and this time. I understand if that doesn't work for you. People suddenly were respectful of my boundaries, and suddenly I didn't have very much availability, which they read as she's really valuable and booked up or whatever it was. Like, it was just claiming my own power and listening to, in my case, it wasn't at that point, it wasn't even listening to the spark. It was listening, noticing it wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that's when everything shifted, right? When I was able to recognize, how am I going to create something amazing out of something that feels miserable?
Yes. Yes. And what did you do? You released resistance and you started living the life that you want as big as you could in the moment. Yeah.
And that's what I've been doing ever since, and you too, right? That Rachel and I have so much fun talking about, because we're the same as everyone, right? We get an idea and then we follow our hearts, and then inevitably one of us gets into our heads, and that's our job with each other, right? Is to be the mirror and be like, well, what do you want to do? Well, what feels good? Well, how is this gonna, if we commit to that, are we gonna love it in 6 months? Are we gonna love it in a year? Is that where we want to go? And that, I think, is a way, people are taught like, work hard now and it'll pay off later. And I was definitely in that, like, I'll work myself to the bone right now. And then one day when I have a great big business, I won't have to do that anymore. And I just realized, like, nope, hamster wheel. And that's what, now, I guess I'm talking in circles now, but I just want to say, Rachel, like, we do a good job with each other of reflecting that back, of being like, oh, yeah, remember this part of that idea felt good. Does this thing that we're suggesting actually feel good, or is it something we think we have to do?
Yeah.
And we make changes all the time because we realize, oh, we're doing that because we thought we had to. Let's
Mm-hmm.
stop.
Yeah. Yeah. Those questions are the most important thing about business. Asking yourself, is this really what I want to do right now? Is this where my heart is right now? Is this what I'm inspired to do right now? Am I still inspired to do this? Or am I ready for something new? Is something new calling my name? All of these questions are really important because they help you tap into that place of knowing, right? And I
Well,
just,
and you said, oh, go ahead.
oh no, it's okay.
Well, you said the words, and I think that's so important because sometimes we think, but I am inspired to do, I am really excited about this idea. I just, this task, or that, like, there's some reason why right now is not the right time for you to be doing whatever it is that you're be doing, but you are be doing. But I think those words right now are so important because sometimes you're still inspired about the idea. It just needs to sit on the shelf for a few days so something new can come in. So you can, um, or we feel bad for recognizing, I'm not really, really want this. And right now, I just want to take a nap. right? Like there's,
Mm-hmm.
so I just think it's important to recognize that phrase right now. It doesn't mean forever. It doesn't mean you're giving up. Like it can still be something that you really want. But if the answer to the question is, am I inspired to be working on this right now? Is no. Listen to the spark or lack thereof.
Yeah. Yeah. Why are you doing what you're doing? Are you doing it because you feel like you have to? Or are you doing it because it fills you up and you can't do anything else? Right? It sounds like too good to be true that that is what leads to real success, but it's not. It's not. That's really how you will fill out your life in all areas in the easiest way. And that's why this is a worthiness journey, because you're worthy of feeling really good and having what you want. And until you can believe that, you're going to work way too hard and spend money on stuff you don't need and have scheduling conflicts and give up your personal life. Like there's going to be struggle where you create struggle. And then if you realize, wait a minute, this could be a lot easier. I could leverage my own energy, my own natural stream of what I'm wanting to do and what I'm already good at and what I'm already a genius at. And I can just do that and I can relax and I can have fun and I can enjoy my life and I can set my own schedule and I can travel when I want to and I can allow money to come in for things I really enjoy. That gets addictive when you get there because that's what feeds you, right? That other kind of work depletes you. This kind of work feeds you. And I believe that's our birthright. We're allowed and encouraged, non physically, to live in that place. Because not only does it allow us to live a life we're really into, but it also inspires others and shows them, like, oh, this is possible. And I don't believe we need to do anything for another human being. We all have the same connection. But when we're fed, when we're nourished, when we're alive, when we have that spark, we're inspired to give and help and be an example. And like Carrie was doing, and before she was even the business BFF, she was just helping people and doing that. And like, that's what happens. And it's not even that. So I'm not personally a millionaire, but I I live like one for sure. Do anything I don't want to do, and I have where I want, and time to go hiking during the week or to take a few days off, or to a couple of years ago I took 6 months off, and then before that I took 3 months off and went to Hawaii. And so it's not necessarily about, okay, I'm going to do this and overnight I'm going to be the richest person I know. That's very possible for you, but it's more about knowing that you are worthy of living the life that would make you really happy and allowing yourself to have whatever version of that is possible for you now, like Carrie did. And then it grows. You're just reinforcing your own worthiness. You're loving yourself anew in every moment with every decision you make. And that feeds the machine. I know that's a little bit more on the like spiritual side of looking at things, but from my experience, that's what creates all the momentum.
Well, I just want to address yes. So that's what I want to say is yes, right? For me, it started with boundaries around my time. It just made me recognize I just can't be available to everybody all the time, and I can't be making these appointments out of desperation, right? And at that time, it was for me for sure, but it was more about I didn't recognize that it was for me at that time. I thought I'm doing this because I have a priority of being home and being present with my kids. And I can't put that off for later, right? So for me, initially, it was about, and taking care of myself, like getting my run in was super duper important to me. And I was making appointments during the time of day that I had to run because I thought I had to, right? So but it started out a little bit about the running, which was for me, and a lot about, am I living my priorities? It wasn't even yet about like my dream life.
Mm-hmm.
That came later. It was like, am I living my priorities? Am I being a person of integrity? And as I started to do that, more and more and more opened up. And I think the hardest part is in the beginning, right? The hardest part is taking the leap of faith to be like, I thought I felt worthy, but I wasn't behaving in a way that a worthy person behaves, right? So part of it was taking the leap of faith of, I'm worthy of behaving in a way that worthy people behave, if that makes sense. Um, but I think about from then to now, and my daughter's not almost 10. It's crazy to me that it's been 10 years. Crazy to me that it's been 10 years. And yet I'm looking around at my life now and noticing the things that I'm noticing in my business and recognizing, oh, without even being very conscious of it, right? By just continuing to follow the path of least resistance. That life that I dreamed of, even I look at my backyard every day and I'm like, oh my God, like this is what I envisioned. It's actually better than what I had envisioned, right? Like this is what I was thinking about. If it had gone from where I was 10 years ago to where I am today in a week, right? It wouldn't have felt, I would have felt miraculous and out of a dream and all of those things. But the truth is, it just happened so subtly, so easily, so next step, like just so matter of factly that it takes conscious reminding of like, oh, yeah, I totally made this up in my head all that time ago. This, this, the way my business runs now, I think this is important to say, Rachel. Yes, I'm in business for myself, but what my business looks like is not like what most businesses look like, if that makes sense. Like how I show up, the structures I have in place, like it works for me. It works perfectly for me. It's exactly what I want and nothing that I don't want. But it doesn't look like what if someone said, well, show me your business plan or like, I don't know if you're hearing what I'm trying to say. It's just perfect for me. It's the life that I want. And it really came from letting go of business and just, yeah, I don't know. I rambled, but
I
there
love
you
it because
go.
Chantal was saying, thank you, Carrie. You reminded me that I lose my spark when it comes to business strategy. And what you're saying, Carrie, is you ditched the strategy and you just started doing what felt good. And now you have a business that works for you. And I want to talk. So, strategy is important, but I feel that strategy comes from inspiration. I don't think you need to consciously brainstorm and think about strategy. And I'm a very strategic person. I mean, I'm cool with that. Like I'm cool with all that. Like the funnels and the webinars and the like I'm into that. It's fun for me, but I I do my absolute best to not try to conjure any of that stuff up, to just wait for it to like this exact thing. I mean, this could be seen as a business strategy, these live streams talking about business, but I just wanted to do it and it seemed like that was in the ethers. So that's a good example of it. But what I want to say is before strategy, it's more important to know what you're expecting What are your expectations? What is your vision? And it doesn't have to be like a formal, every morning I sit down and I envision how I want my business to be and how I want my life to be. But it's good to know and to check in with, what is it in the back of your head? Are you really expecting clients, if that's the kind of business, customers, growth, an office somewhere, or assistants, workers? Like, what is in the back of your head about where this is going? Do you have any positive expectation? Because sometimes people don't. And if you don't have positive expectation, you won't be able to find a strategy that will work for you. And you definitely won't be inspired to a strategy that will work for you unless your desire to like feel good, unless you're really in the zone, right? I realized a couple years ago that I had a huge like disconnect between what I saw for my company and what was actually playing in the back of my head. It took me a while to see it because sometimes those things live past the point that we really pay attention, right? It's so subtle that we don't notice that, like, after something happens, we envision this one doomsday plan, or we just like there's crickets in like the vision department. And so once I really dedicated to meditating 15 minutes a day, that opened up to me all of this like hidden file storage system of like what my expectations were. And I realized I'm playing small in my own mind. I have this small vision. I have this small expectation of what's going to happen for me, and that it was okay for me to expect something else. And it's not even that I went and I like filled out a form and of like I'm wanting all this. I just naturally would let the new dream come. It's like after I realized that I wasn't expecting what I would really want out of life, when it came to business lifestyle, I've got like it's awesome, but I realized I really was wanting a bigger intuitive art academy. I wanted to reach like the whole world and beyond. Like that's what makes my belly sing. Like I get that excited feeling there, and that's definitely not what I was expecting. So noticing all of that really helped me to open up. And in the last year, we've so much. We've created products and made more, grown the certification, and like things are happening, and that couldn't have happened if I hadn't changed my expectations. So check in on that when you can.
Well, I want to say about expectations versus wildest dreams. And Intimate Alien and I had a conversation a while ago where she lovingly reminded me that you have some amazing wild dreams, Carrie, but you keep pushing them into the future, right? You keep making them this far away thing. Um, and she reminded me that like the people with the biggest dreams often have the most resistance.
Mm-hmm.
And good news, Carrie, you have more resistance than anybody I've ever seen. But it helped me so much recognize what you're talking about. That like, oh, in life, I generally get what I expect. And I was spending time in my dreams, but in this like, wouldn't it be nice? Wouldn't that be amazing? Not in the, oh, I'm actually creating, right? I'm actually, when I'm spending time in my dreams, I am drawing that to me. And it took a little time. And I think that's what we've been talking about this whole call, right? When I was saying, if 10 years ago I could have seen myself now doing what I do the way I do it. And like what I do and the way I do it does not look like anybody else's business model, right? It looks like whatever the hell I want. And my business model is show up and be awesome, right? So I'm looking for opportunities to show up and be awesome all the time, or opportunities for me to show up and be awesome are looking for me all the time, is maybe a better way to say it. But initially, that was a wildest dream, right? The fact that you can't just do whatever you want when you want, right? That felt like a wildest dream. And but what all of this has done is now, Rachel, you and I have wildest dreams that no longer feel wild, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there are things that, at least for me, 10 years ago, those were crazy dare to dreams. It would take a miracle kind of things. And now they're positive expectations. And that comes from doing intuitive art. That comes from meditating. That comes from honoring my own boundaries. That comes from the practice of listening to the spark and trusting it. But I got to tell you, it's a pretty rad place to be, where now there are things on our wildest dream list that we know are happening. Like, not like we know because we read The Secret and we know that they can't not be, but like we know in every fiber of our being that they're in the process of happening. And now we can freaking delight in every step of the journey. And when stuff comes up, we can be surprised and delighted, even though we're really not surprised. We're surprised in the way it showed up, but we're never surprised that it showed up.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a cool place to be.
it is. It is. And I think it just goes back to, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to do this? And if it's not for your own personal happiness, try something else. Because if you do it because this is the thing right now to do that will make you the most money, it's probably not going to work. It's probably going to fizzle out. You're not going to be happy. And even if it does make money, it's probably going to take so much effort and time that you're not going to be able to enjoy your life. If you choose to do something because, oh yeah, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I love, you might have some major beliefs to work around, right? You can't make money unless you work really hard. Small business is a struggle. You're not a business person. What are you doing? If you don't make this much money in your first year, just close up, or you're not good enough. There are some things to work around, but recognize any success is success. Milk it for all it's worth. You get your first client, boy, you're onto something. Keep going. Keep doing what you love. Keep sharing. Keep being who you are. Keep being inspired. Ask yourself, what do I want to do today? And even if it's not business related, do that, because maybe you'll bump into somebody, or maybe you'll make a video on your hike that will, change things. Whatever it is, trust your spark. That spark is leading you. It's going to give you the inspirations for any kind of business strategy that you need. It will give you your business model. It will deliver to you everything you need to know. And don't get discouraged. I actually wrote that down. Yes. Don't get discouraged. You can do, be, and have anything you want. Absolutely anything. It may not seem like it right now. So if you want to shoot lower, go for it. But don't get discouraged. Keep at it. Keep asking yourself, how can I make this easier? How can I make this more fun? How could I enjoy this more? Those are the questions. Those are the keys to your success. Because if you saw a practitioner or a business owner having the most fun of their lives, like with a product or a service that you could use right now, you're going to choose them. You're going to choose them over the stressed out person who's working 9 hours a day, right? Or 12 hours a day. I mean, 9 hours, people do that every day. So that's how out of touch I am.
Just not you and me.
So, yeah. let me look at the
I
comments.
wanted,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say I'm doing something right now that took me a long time to do. And I'm spending the majority, I don't know about the majority of my time, but a lot of time doing something that completely lights me up, that I can't not do, that doesn't pay me anything. But I know it fills my cup. It fills me up. It inspires me, and it inspires the other work that I do in the world. And and it is an area in my life where I get to show up and be awesome. And for the longest time, I wouldn't do it because I kept telling myself there's no money in it. Even though I have a massive wildest dream about that area of my life, right? So I had a belief that was like there's no direct path there. There's not enough money on that path. There's not, right? Like I wasn't doing it. There were a few reasons why I wasn't doing it, but I was resisting it more and more and more and telling myself, I can't waste my time doing that. There's no money there. And that was the biggest lie. One, there's a boatload of money there because I've created it. Like I have created it. I will let you know when the boat arrives with all the money on it. But I have created it, right? Like of course there's money there. There's money there because I'm asking for it. Because I have big wildest dream around that. And just because and there are people doing it. There's nobody doing it the way I envision it. But who cares? There's nobody, there's no, maybe there are other people who their business strategy is just show up and be awesome. But yeah, I just want to say that. Like, I was not doing something that my spark was leading me down that path because I had a story that there's not enough money there. And right now, I'm doing it and it is lighting up my whole world. And there's plenty else right now. And soon enough, there will be boatloads of money in that space as well.
Yeah.
That's it.
If I could sum it up, I would say the only thing in between you and everything you want is your decision to allow it. And there's no right way to do anything. There's only your way, which is what Carrie said in the beginning. Your way, which is going to be delivered to you by staying in your inspiration. And that's it. You friend, it takes confidence to live like this. And luckily, with each step you take, it grows, right? It's not like an all or nothing thing. You're not jumping off a bridge. If the path of least resistance for you includes getting a part-time job to take the pressure off of your business, do it. Who cares? Do whatever feels easiest to you. And if you are in a place right now where you are feeling massive anxiety and burden and resistance, do whatever you can do to feel some relief, right? Meditate. That's so life changing. When I started doing it really opened things up for me. And I've always been connected and telling myself, I got it, it's okay, my life is a meditation. But seriously, when I started doing just listening to white noise for 15 minutes a day and feeling kind of zoned out, just listening to that noise, man, made it such a difference. So yeah, whatever you can do to feel relief, to feel better, get a job if you need to. There are all kinds of gig jobs you can do now. Like you don't have to talk to anybody. Intimate alien delivered groceries. If she can do it, you can do it. And let yourself get to a place of feeling better, of feeling relief. And then ask yourself, okay, I've got a spare hour. What would I really love to do? Maybe it's take a nap. Maybe it's watch Netflix. Maybe it's go for a walk. Maybe it's drive around for an hour because you've been in your house all week. Find relief first if you're in stress. Find relief, repeat, 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 and eventually relief will turn into, oh, I'm kind of happy right now. That's kind of cool. And then it'll be like, oh, I would love to do this. Let that joy grow over time. Don't make yourself wrong if you can't access it right now, and move up the ladder as slowly as you need to, because it's not a race, right? Any success is success, and don't be discouraged. So we're almost at an hour. Is there anything you want to end with, Carrie?
No, I am loving it. I'm hopeful, right? We're talking about small business. We're talking about like the best business advice, right? Trust yourself. Do what feels good. Like this is, and what Rachel's saying about don't get discouraged. Yeah, don't get discouraged. And also when you feel desperation, know that that's the lie. Like when I was first starting out, I had a friend who would always challenge me and say, what's the lie? What's the lie you're telling it, right? If it doesn't feel good, there's a lie in there that you're telling yourself. And it, trust me, I still get there, right? But I still
Mm-hmm.
get it. Rachel all the time is like, stop, Carrie, just stop. um, but that's the best advice I've ever gotten is just trust yourself, listen to what's within. You're right. You're right. And if it doesn't feel good, there's a lie. There's a lie in there somewhere. That's it.
Yeah. And use your intuitive art. I can't tell you how helpful that is in my own business. Um, Everything, strategy, check in, feelings, tone. I mean, I feel like I know my business through intuitive art. It's made it real, it's made it a friend. Like, I have drawings all over my wall that are about my business, and I look at them and I just smile because I feel like I know this entity that is not real but real. So some of my favorite questions to ask my business are, what are you? What do you want to be? What do you look like with this much revenue? Let's see what the other one is. What do you look like in a year and a half? The top drawing I have, though, this should tell you something, is how do I most easily embody worthiness? Number one business question: how can I most easily embody worthiness?
I was looking for a drawing to show people, but I don't know if I even have that in there, so that's going to be my drawing for when this is over. Is yeah, how do I most easily embody worthiness? But I have drawings around um okay, what is this offer? Or what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they're just so helpful for when you get in your head to then go back and see it there and feel the truth of what came through in the drawing. Like they're so refocusing. Honestly, like I didn't, is intuitive art a business strategy? Hells to the yeah, it is. Is it a in all sorts of other ways? Yes, but using intuitive art, absolutely a business strategy.
Yeah.
Just doesn't look
Yeah.
like what most people think strategy looks like.
And, you know, speaking of intuitive art and intuition, Carrie and I have made huge decisions that way. We spent $24,000 just on one advertising channel alone this year, and we did it with our intuition, with the yes no technique. We decided not to spend $15,000 because of many intuitive art drawings. Like, and we've always felt satisfied and very good after doing that. It's not like we do that and then we second guess. No, we're confident because we've seen over time that this makes good choices. Like this, we can trust, we can listen to. So I can't leave us today without mentioning, if this seems like something you want to add to your business, or if you want this to be your business, we got you covered. We have a certification program. You can learn more at intuitiveartacademy.com/me, M-E, intuitiveartacademy.com/me. And yeah, read all about it, or go to intuitiveart.com and see the whole thing of what we have. Um, yeah, I love it. We love this world. We hope you do too. We hope you trust yourself. We hope you have massive success and that you love your life and your business. And if you have any more questions, just let us know. Okay, everybody, we love you. Thanks for coming, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye, everybody.